Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's blog post. I get to this time every year and I really have to, you know, have conversations with people about how much time is left in the year, things that we can be doing, should be doing, what we're preparing for. And I know these are sort of like the dog days of summer, except in the mortgage business. It's the push through the holiday season where we can be distracted by so many other different things that it becomes real easy to give up and to stop working and kind of just give in to temptation and you know just let things happen however they happen, and we'll worry about things in the first of the year. And so I was thinking about that a lot, and one of the conversations I have, and then looking at the calendar this year and realizing, with this blog post, it was a very simple mathematical equation. And it's certainly not an equation in a true sense of the word, because equations mean things being equal. And on one hand, they do equal each other out. On the other hand, they don't. And it depends upon what you do to the one side versus the other. What do I mean by that? Well, the equation is, when does 25 equal 41? And it's not some kind of new math. It's really the reality of the mortgage industry. And what I mean by that is the fact that there's about 25 days left for us this year to produce a loan that will close this year in 2024. The 41 comes into play, as that's actually how many days there are between now and January 2nd, which is the first full business day of that new year. And that's kind of how that math works, looking at these 25 days and saying, well, what am I going to do in these 25 days that are going to benefit me to the extent that I make the most out of the remaining 41? Or what am I not going to do in the next 25 days? So I might as well have just taken off the last 41. So it really comes down to like five things that I was thinking about. And the first one really is pretty simple, is if you're not willing to push hard and put together a deal that needs to close by the end of this year, you aren't likely willing to work through all the parties and all the excuses and all the outside forces that make it really simple and really easy to take time off during the full-blown holiday season. And so that's a reality. And the second piece to this is, if you're not prepared with a plan to maximize your efforts and to leverage your abilities to get things done and be able to show people how there is still time and that you can still close by the end of the year, then likely you're just another originator in your marketplace that looks like every other originator in your marketplace that is just coasting to the end of the year. And whether they do it deliberately or not, they're really just finding excuses not to succeed. The third thing that I bring to the table, and especially, when I talk to my clients, is if you're not sharing a positive message, and you're not sharing that positive message with people in your marketplace, people in your database, about how there's still time. There's still time to close a deal by the end of the year. And especially this time of the year, you could be out there competing in a market where you find yourself with limited competition for homes that are being offered for sale by sellers who would really love to sell their house. And if you're not going to go out there and differentiate yourself amongst everyone else, then you are everyone else. Number four, if you're sharing, your message is likely to resonate with those people and those referral partners who are still engaged, who are still working, the ones that are exploring opportunities. You're differentiating yourself enough where that message is sticking with them. And you might just establish a chance at opportunities between now and the end of the year and maybe build some relationships that could very well carry you through the end of this year and well beyond into 2025 and maybe become lifelong relationships. Because the important piece here is if you're not going to push hard for those last 25 days, will you earn an audience? Will you burn those brain cells? Will you gain admission to those people who are going to be working, even those who are going to be working those last 16 days of the year, because they realize that to give up at this point means giving up on the entire rest of the year, losing all the forward momentum. And when people tell you that, oh, when we turn the clock and we get to January, we all start off on a level playing field at zero. Well, that's hogwash. That's, quite frankly, that's bullshit. The reality of it is our business never turns to zero. The only time we're truly at zero is day one in this industry. And from day one on, we are building momentum. We are building a relationship. We are building a database. We are building and burning brain cells of people who know what we do. And whether or not we've nurtured those brain cells to the point where we get an opportunity to deliver on all that we know and all that we've learned. And the reality of it is 25 days, you can still put deals together to close the end of this year. And by working hard these next 25 days, you've earned the right to be considered for an opportunity for those who are going to work those last 16 days of the year to continue the momentum going into 2025. So if you're not going to work, if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to have a plan, you might as well just go on vacation and come back on January the 2nd. So how does 25 equal 41? Well, simple. If you do the work the next 25 days, then you've earned the right to be available and to be considered for those opportunities the last 41. And if you're not going to work them, we all know that simple math, that 0 plus 0, it equals 0. If you need a plan, reach out. It's Mike at intcoaching.com. I'd love to help. Take care, and we'll talk to you again next week.